Hey guys, so you saw in my last video that I got a new Flex-a-lite fan for my radiator. It's an electric fan. So this video I'm going to be installing that fan. First off, I got to pull off the old fan. As you can see, it's a lot smaller than what I got. It was nice. I thought it was doing the trick, but I mean, honestly, from the other side of the radiator, I couldn't even feel it pulling the air through. So I don't think it was doing enough for my needs. So also, you can see the way this thing's hooked up. It just runs these little plastic zip ties, basically, that are straight zip ties, and so they push through, and then they attach. The wiring setup honestly wasn't all that bad. It came with a nice fuse, came with a setup for that. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. So I'll see you on the other side after I've pulled that out. Alright, so I got the old fan off. As you can see where my fan has kind of gotten beaten, or my radiator's gotten beaten up a little bit by the old fan. The little push throughs don't do much for it. You can see a bit of dirt in there too. I usually try and rinse it off pretty well after going through the mud, but as you can see, I didn't get it all off. You can see where my transmission cooler is mounted. Because of where my transmission cooler is mounted, I'm actually going to try and mount the Flex-a-lite a little bit to the passenger side of the vehicle. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get going on the Flex-a-lite. So the instructions show kind of going from the bottom to the top, but I think I'm going to go from the top to the bottom so I can have it hang. So I've already checked to make sure this is going to fit. So my plan is to mount it right here like this. So I'm going to go ahead and throw on the star nuts here and here, and then I'll put the bracket on, and then I'll get the clip on there just to hold it in place. I won't tighten anything down until I get the bottom attached. But as you can see, I've put the bolts in the bottom, and so should be ready to go. Alright, so get the first one. And it goes like that. And throw these nuts over the top like so. Alright, like I said, initially I'm just going to get this thing on. I'm going to use this bracket to just kind of hold it in place while I attach the bottom. This is approximately where I want it. It needs to come up a little bit, but I'll fix that when I put on the bottom bracket. I'll see you on the bottom. Alright, for this next one, we're underneath. As you can see, I've got to go up about an inch. So that's the goal of where I want it to sit. So I'm going to have to push that up when I get it on there. Alright, one thing I missed on the other side was I forgot to put a washer on before I put the next nut on, so I'll have to do that before I can tighten up the top. Okay. So the bottom's on here. I definitely need to come up about an inch. I may or may not have to put something on the top in between just to kind of raise it up. We'll see. I'm definitely maxing out the limits of what this size fan I can put on this radiator. Okay, so I got it pretty much into position now. What I'm finding is if I loosen and kind of pull this up a little bit, kind of force these down, kind of pull this in as tight as I can, bring the bottoms up just a little bit. It actually sits pretty tight. Like I said though, I am going to have to pull these off real quick. Throw the washer on the top. And in case you're wondering, when I'm all said and done with these, I'm definitely going to cut these off down to a smaller size. Alright, I think what I'm going to do, just for peace of mind, so it's actually holding on the bottom. Stick maybe something underneath here. And then I'll just, gonna have to figure this out. Alright guys, so it took me a little bit of thinking, and I finally figured out what I wanted to do to fix the issue that I was having. I flipped the thing over. So this side is flush, and that fixed the holding it to the top of the radiator to where it's basically hanging a lot more than it was just hugging. I wanted a little bit both the hugging and hanging. So I flipped it over. That solved that problem. And then, I don't know, it came to me for the other side, because I still had about that 1 inch gap that I needed to figure out how to mount to that. I thought of a couple different ways to use the bracket to do that. One way I thought was maybe add another piece of aluminum just to kind of extend the length of the bracket, and then maybe put something underneath it. But those were all kind of, I'd have to go spend more money, which I didn't want to do. So what I ended up coming up with is I just took this bracket, stuck it in a vise, and beat on it with a mallet and kind of reshaped it. So I'll show you what that looks like. So as you can see, I basically just bent it a little bit to get it on there, and then now it actually fits on there. Has enough gap between the thermostat and radiator. So now I just got to run this wire up to the top left. Should have enough to get it pretty darn close to where I want it. It's not going to be the end of the world if I can't reach it all the way. But yeah, that's what I ended up doing. I just kind of created an inch of space just by bending it. So definitely an option if you run into what I have. The other option is obviously go with a bigger radiator, or one that has a spot to mount these things to. That would help as well. So I'm going to go ahead and button it up, and I'm probably going to saw these things off. Probably not going to take all of it off. I'm going to leave a little room in case I decide to do something different with it later. But I'll probably cut right about there on both of them. So I'll see you on the other side. Alright guys, so I've got the radiator in now, and I'll show you real quick. It's on there nice and tight, so I'm not too worried about it going anywhere, so that's good. Now I'm in the process of wiring, so I've already got a lot of it ready to go, but I saved a couple things just to show you. So first off, I already have a wire coming from my ground. or from my positive. So the positive is going to go right into this fuse box here. Angle down a little bit. Alright, so it came with this little fuse box. It's a 40 amp fuse. So I'm going to hook this direct into my ground, or my positive. So this will hook into the positive. So I just get it in there. And then these tools are nice. They're not the best ones in the world, but most of the guys I know have one of these. This is what they use for wiring. This is what I've used for wiring since I was, pretty much since I was 9. So this is what I use. I've always used the crimping position. I don't use the front positions because they never seem tight enough. And then that'll get it all nice and tight. And then if you want to just squish the rest of the plastic around, it just says on there. So that should be on there nice and tight. I usually give it a tug just to test it. It didn't come undone, so that's good. This wire right here, this is coming from my ignition. So when I turn the Jeep on, it's going to go to this thinner red line. And this thinner red line is going to go all the way down and connect to the positive on the fan. And then this is coming right off of my engine block for my ground. And then I'll run this to the ground position. So I'm gonna go ahead and snip this. Actually, I've got a shorter wire that's coming right off my block. I'm not gonna run any extra to get to the fan, but what I am gonna do is I'm gonna attach this guy to the tip of it. It's a little connector on one end and a little hole on the other end. And then I'll put that direct to the fan into the G for ground. And then I've got to hook up this line to the fuse. This is going to go to the B on the thermostat housing, and that's going to be your straight positive in. So we have a positive coming from the battery. We've got a positive coming from the ignition, and then I've got a ground coming from the engine block. And those are the 3 wires that I'm going to hook in. I don't have an air conditioner on this vehicle. I'm not too worried about, so I don't need to worry about that. If you do have an air conditioner, it does come with a little piece for hooking in line to your air conditioner. This little guy right here comes with this, and then you can run this line in with your air conditioner line, and it just kind of basically connects in, so you have the option to have your fan turn on when your air conditioner comes on for that function. Alright, at this point I'm going to hook up all the wires, and then I'll see you on the other side. Alright guys, so I got all the wires hooked up. So right now they're not tucked yet. I'll probably get some wire looms and run it all the way down. As you can see, I got the thermostat hooked in. It's going in right here, and then the wire runs down. Now I'll show you what I got going on underneath. Alright, so right now this is part of the design that I'm not 100% sure about. Why the heck the thermostat gets actually covered by the bracket when it's installed. Now I guess if it was bigger and you had more access and you could flip it over, having that on the top, it might be a little bit easier, but for my purposes, just so I can get access to it, I dropped the bracket and then hooked a couple bungees so this thing doesn't go anywhere when it does eventually turn on. Now the instructions say turn it to full clockwise, and then turn your vehicle on and let it heat up and then once it gets to the temperature where you want the fan to kick on, then turn it until the thermostat kicks it on. So that's what I plan on doing next. Big thing here, I want you to notice, I want to make sure my wires stay clear of this, so make sure there's plenty of room between this and your wires, and make sure they don't want to go over there. So I'll probably hook it up up to the side so they avoid all that. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn the Jeep on now, let it warm up. Probably gonna take about 5 minutes to get to temperature, 5-10 minutes, and then I'll try out this thermostat thing, see how that works, and then hopefully it turns on. Hopefully I wire everything up all right. All right, guys, so I just got my my engine up to temperature. So I've got the fan hooked up. I've got the ignition on right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down here, and I've got my knob, and I'm basically gonna twist it until she turns on. So I've got it to where it just turned on. So success, it means I hooked it up right. This thing's kicking out a ton of air, so I'm excited to take this out. I'm gonna go ahead and finish buttoning things up. Alright, and all I have left to do on this one is to trim down these bolts, and then I'm probably gonna either use my cutoff wheel, my pneumatic cutoff wheel that I have, or a handsaw. Either way, that's all I have left to do on this one. Alright guys, thanks for watching my channel. I'm glad I figured this one out. I wouldn't say I was freaking out at the beginning when I couldn't get the fit right, but I just needed a night's rest, and I figured out how I got it in. Wasn't too bad at all. If you got a bigger radiator, you're not going to have this problem, so it'll be a lot easier. Worked on the first try, so that's always a plus. And yeah, so if you like what I'm doing, please like this video. If you want to see more, please subscribe. If you want notifications when I do post new videos, hit the little bell. And then yeah, I'll see you in my next video. I just got a new carburetor and intake manifold for this guy, so I'll probably do this in a 2 or 3 part series, removing the intake manifold and carburetor, and then installing the new intake manifold, and then installing the new carburetor. So until next time, you guys have a good one. Bye.